Don't be afraid of silly ideas. We all get mental blocks. We need to get unblocked. The way to get unblocked is to lose our inhibitions and stop worrying about being right. The comedian John Cleese puts it rather more eloquently. He says, high creativity is responding to situations without critical thought, parentheses, playfulness. If you're in a deadlock, here are a couple of tricks you might try. Number one, do the opposite of what the situation requires. Number two, look out the window and whatever catches your eye, a bird, a television aerial, an old man on crutches, or whatever, make that the solution to your problem. Maybe the next spread will help you with your illogic. Oh, I didn't see you guys come in there. I was just reading from It's Not How Good You Are, It's How Good You Want to Be, the world's best-selling book by Paul Arden. And he's talking about advertising, and the layout that he's celebrating here is Fat Bastard, which is a brand of wine that sells very well despite its obscene name. And that's part of it. And he's also showing you the words Engelberg Humperdinck and just how well that goes with the Gothic font. But we're joining you live on today's episode of Bitcoin Talk Show. Let's check out the graphics. I'm hungry already. I'm going to have to order some food or go microwave some. Bitcoin average seems kind of crashy. Oh, there it goes. The price of Bitcoin is down 4.39% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 6,273, a high of 6,615, and a low of 6,160. That's $1 for 15,976 Satoshis. Looking at the live chart right now, it's 62.63. We have seen some very large blocks moving through blockchain.info. It's fallen off the screen now, but the screen cap I had showed 72,000 Bitcoins, 10 times the average we're seeing here, were sent about an hour ago. So we are seeing some heavy selling action, likely as a result of the New York Times announcing that the Bitcoin price was likely artificially inflated last year, researchers say. And according to a paper released by the University of Texas, Is Bitcoin Really Untethered? The currency Tether may have been used to pump up the price of Bitcoin. That Tether was used. There's also a big conspiracy theory article that this may have been caused by a cartel in Bitcoin. There may be drug involvement and all the other drama that happens when you move around millions of dollars and you don't want anyone to see it. My basic position here before I intro the guests and we start opening this up to discussion, basically, we don't know what the price of Bitcoin is right now. We're in a process of price discovery. We're trying to figure out how much someone will pay for a Bitcoin. We depend on how much I'll sell it for, how much you'll buy it for, back and forth. These kind of situations make up price discovery. Because of this manipulation, and it seems like some very large, likely manipulation, we don't know what the price of Bitcoin is. This has me terrified. This is also why we're seeing the large amount of money moving around. So let's see what we've got here. We've got JW Weatherman. Go and introduce yourself and tell us what you think about the position of today, and then we'll introduce Shem.
Hey guys, I don't know why anybody would be worried about any of this stuff. Like I have a very clear difference between an investment and savings. An investment is something that I don't expect to get paid for at least 5 years. And I don't see anything happening right now that affects my sort of investment thesis on what the price will be in 4.5 years or whatever, when that's the earliest that I would ever expect to cash out on something that's not my savings account. So this just doesn't, it's not even a blip on the radar to me. It doesn't matter. As far as not knowing what the price of Bitcoin is, I mean, that's the job of entrepreneurs in a free market, is to figure out what the price of Bitcoin should be. And if it's cheaper than it should be, buy it. And if it's more expensive than it should be, sell it. And I think that Bitcoin is by far the most superior asset that we could use for money. I think the money market, the amount of government dollars in circulation is at least 100 trillion, and you don't have to be a genius to do the math, and you get about 5 million of Bitcoin. So as an entrepreneur, I think that's the price of Bitcoin. I think it was cheap when I bought it at the all-time high, and I still think it's cheap now. But nothing's really changed for me in the last 7 months.
All right, let's go to Shem Booth, Spain. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and what are your thoughts about today's news?
Well, thank you very much. Ta-da! Today is a special day, everybody. The sale is on. Well, to some people, it's a it's old news, new news, and it's also, Tether had a function in the early days, didn't it? Tether was, because obviously they couldn't use dollars, so the purpose of Tether was to be an instrument that could combine with and be used to tether, basically. As crypto's gone into the legal fold across the board, more and more of the things that make the stock exchange and all the major exchanges around the world secure and trusted for investment, billions and trillions of dollars of investment that we're also asking as crypto lovers to come to crypto, is starting to happen. And obviously, I don't understand per se a lot of the technical fundamental of the Tether printer, how it works, or even if it is printing, but it has had a legitimate use. It wasn't just created to like be a pump and dump, and I think it's a good thing for crypto in the long run.
I'm not.
Crypto was still wait, hold on, buddy. We were still surviving at 1K. We've got 10 times the amount of investment in crypto and in Bitcoin. We've got more apps now than ever. Even if the price goes down to 1K, which it ain't going to go down, right? It would make a tenfold increase of new buyers, of people that would come in. It's a self-regulating kind of fractal system. It self-balances, right? So the FUD is strong. What people have got to ask the questions. They've got to say, this is a good thing. Why are people getting so slippery handed like this? And it's a normal reaction from a market, isn't it? And it's been print pressed as well. There's a lot of PR FUD backing it up. I've seen a lot of people. All the clever money is consolidating and accumulating. And I think that speaks for itself. The technology isn't broken. There's nothing fundamentally, even if Tether stops working as its own cryptocurrency or whatever, that we could speculate on, and which, we would be, Bitcoin's its own ecosystem, and things come and go, things side chain, things on chain. It doesn't matter. Bitcoin's the honey badger. It keeps rolling on.
Well, we'll see. I'm not so sure. I think they might have manipulated Bitcoin, and that these Tether people might have created Tether for this purpose, and that it worked really well, and they made hundreds of millions of dollars, and that they drove the price up. And I think the problem right now is that we're in a position where the entire market has to react to this news. So everyone is waking up and they're like, oh, the Tether thing is kind of manipulated. And I never liked Tether. I never wanted this Tether. I don't think we need it. But you can see how they could think they could make a lot of money. And if they did what this article accuses and what this other article accuses, then they might have made a lot of money. So
yeah, but this is the irony as well, Thomas, isn't it? And to add to that, that if they was to allow the dollar to be tethered to Bitcoin, we wouldn't need Tether. We could use the dollar or some kind of fiat currency, because that's what the purpose of, once the legality, that's why they made Tether, because the dollar couldn't be used. So as we enter the legal system and cryptocurrency,
it looks like they made Tether to launder a bunch of money and drug money.
Well,
I mean, it looks like Tether has one of the worst altcoin stories we've ever seen. So, I mean, it's starting to look really bad.
Okay, well, that's not good. And obviously no one wants that. That's not what Satoshi was talking about, was he? So we all know that's something bad. And we all in the community don't want that. And no investor of a technology would want that. We want good things for the world. This is why crypto and Bitcoin is compatible with the financial system around the world and does work and is a trusted medium of exchange. Although, as you say, its price as we go through the flow of time is adjusted, per se.
And the price is what we're talking about today. If you want to give us a call right now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word, go ahead and add us on Skype. I can unmute the Skype person, maybe. Remote desktop is it's amazing software because it just almost works. It almost works. Come on, remote desktop. Oh, Google hiding the interface is a big one. There it is. All right, if you ring us on Skype right now, we are open for calls. But we're watching the price of Bitcoin and we're speculating on what it will do. We had the major story, Bloomberg, New York Times, Tether used to manipulate the price of Bitcoin during 2017 peak, according to a research paper, which I thought I had open around here. I will find that paper. But what do you think, JW? Are you convinced by this research paper? Do you think the Tether situation happened? Was the price manipulated?
You know, I don't know. I've been really negative about Tether in general since I don't know 6 months ago or so. I got into a big fight with the Block Digest guys about it because it's a system where you just don't know. I mean, there's no way to know if there's any dollars backing these things, right? And that's kind of the whole point of why Bitcoin is amazing, is that you can verify that you actually have it. It's not like, you know, Bob at the bank saying, "Don't worry, bro, I got you," which is what you have with Tether. On the other hand, there have been, you know, some pretty good arguments that it's been helpful and it's allowed people to trade that wouldn't be able to trade, or buy in that wouldn't be able to buy in. In general, I wish it didn't exist. In general, I think it's probably a bad thing, but that's just a gut feel. Yeah, I mean, I think it's very possible that there's a lot of price manipulation that happened. I'd kind of be surprised if there wasn't a lot of price manipulation happening, because it happens in every other market. You know, it happens in the gold market like crazy. So why wouldn't it happen in the Bitcoin market? But man, if your investment thesis was, I'm going to buy some Bitcoin because it's not going to, you know, the price is not going to be manipulated. I got some like Florida swampland. So
I think they just thought the price would be manipulated upward.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's going to be both, right? And it's going to be volatile. It's going to be crazy because it's like, even if it wasn't Bitcoin, right? If this was just like a high tech stock that we had all invested in, and it went up and then it went down and then it went up, like, this is just, to some degree, it's more volatile than other stuff. But if you're in a software startup, like, there's a lot of volatile days, right? There's days when you're totally willing to walk away, you know, and just call it a day, even if you don't get paid, when a week before you thought, you know, you were going to be able to sell anytime you wanted for $100 million, right? It's like the brand new technology is super, super volatile. And it's a very tough, it's just a tough, like, business. It's a tough place to be. But in the long run, it tends to pay off really, really well, because of that risk that you're taking on, among other things. So, but yeah, I mean, gosh, like, I don't get people that are expecting that. I don't get people that have a 6-month investment thesis of any kind, right? Like, if there was anything like that made sense, we would see the price going way higher because people are starting to see that lightning works, right? And we're not seeing that.
Well, so I think now you're starting to realize why people would have that. People believe in Bitcoin so much, they're willing to take totally unnecessary and crazy risks with it. This way, you're in the market when it goes up, but you're also in the market when it goes down. So right now, this is more of a rent emergency, I'd say. Have your rent ready for the next 6 months. Have your rent ready for the next year. Otherwise, get a job. Get a part-time job. Get a new job. I don't know. Get a job.
Yeah, don't be an investor in high-tech stocks with money that you need in the next 6 months for rent. If you don't have enough savings to take high-risk investments, don't do that. And this is definitely, you know, especially in the short term, a very high-risk investment. If you've got, you know, a few $1,000 that you don't need to touch for a while, this is a good idea.
This is an opportunity. If this is, I mean, wasn't it? Who was the guy when the markets bleed? That's the time to buy. You know, there's clever. We've seen it before. When there's a dip like this, we see, like, what, 1,000 coins get bought up suddenly. You know, so, you know, remember, the price has been at this number before, and we've been at a lower number before a year ago, and everything works, and everything's getting faster and better. And this Tether stuff has got to come out and be rinsed out and sorted, you know, which it obviously is, you know, and the market's responding to it. So I think we've all got to kind of like, you know, like you say, keep focused on that actually Bitcoin works. And, you know, once the SSE, you know, regulate the shit coins, you know, it's going to be great for us.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. I mean, we're worried about this tether thing and the price manipulation thing. Have you seen what a crazy loony bin asylum that this market is right now with how much money is in Ethereum? Like, I'm far more concerned about Ethereum and Ripple and all these other things. Like,
Yeah,
those
man.
things have to get cleaned out. And
Yeah.
yeah, if we have to drown, if we have to go deep for a while to drown the ticks, then so be it.
Well, you know, like you say, Ethereum's got, you know, EOS is coming after Ethereum, and they've been just doing their ICO collecting Ethereum. So once they come to dump that, you know, and there's loads of bag holders out there that come since January, like you say. You know, what was that other comment you were saying?
I was just saying, if we have to, you know, if we have to dive deep for a while in order to drown these ticks, then that would be fine. And if it's because of this tether thing, or even if it's not, if it's just a perception issue, there's just so much dumb money sloshing around in the space that needs to get a little bit burned. And a lot of it is in the, you know, the altcoins. You know, if you're in Bitcoin like 60%, and then you've got money in Bcash and Ripple and Ethereum, we like the faster you go broke, the better off the world is. And if we have to go down a little bit to strangle you out so you can go back and, you know, I don't know, smoke pot or whatever it was you were doing before you were investing in Bitcoin, that's totally fine with me.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And this is why it's so important that these kind of conversations to help people out there just get a frame of reference on this kind of stuff. And, you know, we've been here before, we've seen it before. And like you say, it's got to be rinsed out, it's got to be sorted. And a lot of these altcoins out there that are really, you know, a lot of vaporware out there, you know, they won't be surviving when they're down at zero, you know, and you know, Bitcoin can survive, you know, down to zero, and it won't even touch zero because someone will be buying. It's a technology, not a stock. So it's still, you know, foot in both camps. So yeah.
Make dumb poor again. If that's what it takes. That's what it takes.
Absolutely, and I think there's tons of consolidation opportunity. I think, you know, these are the points in the market. You know, we have these kind of, and it's fun at the bottom. A lot of people are wondering where the bottom is. You know, I think these kind of news is that, you know, the more you know that the SEC are going to penetrate further into the crypto market, which is a great thing, and I think it's brilliant that the legality comes into crypto and makes it a more safer trading environment, a safer space for innovation and development and investment. And yeah, you know, by all this scrutiny coming to a lot of the shit coins, that's really going to flush out the ticks, you know, and really help people understand, you know, because there's ICOs coming out, pre-prints, you know, Ripple's got pre-print. He's really, you know, knocking other coins and stuff. You've got to look at the fundamentals. You know, Bitcoin's a rocket flying through space, getting faster, getting quicker, and it's increasing capacity, all while it's flying through the air. You know, and Lightning Network, Mars, Shore signatures. We've got loads of technological upgrades happening. You know, mesh network building. We can see it building exponential growth. You know, more channels, more apps coming on there. I think we're in a really positive position. So I think actually, even though this is bad news, and that obviously there could be further repercussions in the news, I think this is an opportunity for anyone looking to get into consolidating and accumulation, and that's probably across any of the shit coins, and obviously the main amazing Bitcoin.
Well, we're looking down across the board here. We've got Bitcoin down 3.85%, Ethereum down 3.59%, EOS up 1.52%. That's curious. BCH down 4%, Bitcoin futures down 3.93%, Ethereum futures down 0.83%, Litecoin down 6.77%, and Ethereum Classic, the previous winner from the Coinbase sweepstakes, is down 4.89%. So it's looking pretty shady down here. If you'd like to give us a call now, you can call now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. It's kind of the middle of the afternoon, though. I don't think anyone's going to be able to call. I think everyone's too busy working or doing something that's much more important than calling this show. But we'll find out, won't we? JW, what else are you working on? Anything positive we can talk about other than Bitcoin?
Yeah. I mean, I think Bitcoin's still positive. The only other thing I was going to say about that is that, like, nothing has changed in any significant way, right? Like, the competition that Bitcoin is facing is not getting any better. The gap between Bitcoin and altcoins, I think, is growing. I think it's becoming more and more obvious to the market that there's a huge difference. That, you know, you can't just say blockchain and you have something that's like Bitcoin. Like, I think it's taking time, but I think that that knowledge is being disseminated at a decent clip. And, got a storm here. Sorry about that. A little lightning trying to take me out today.
That's a rocket going
There
off
you go. See, we got some chaotic bombing sounds there. I know, it sounds like you've been destroyed by a ball. Like, oh, everything's fine here. Everything's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought when I almost got killed by a lightning strike. Let's see. Yeah, so I mean, nothing's changed as far as, like, if you had invested in a software startup that was I don't know, like that crazy thing that's trying to make, like, it's trying to grow meat in a lab, right? And the cost of growing the meat was going down, and the taste was getting better, and all of the things that you were doing were getting better, and maybe the price of beef was going up. Even if there was, like, some weirdness in the market and your shares were less valuable this week than they were a month ago, you're not freaking out, right? Like, your investment thesis is, this is going to be a better way to produce meat, and it's going to be worth a lot in 5 years, right? It's not that everybody's going to love it this week. And so as I look at Bitcoin and stack it up against the altcoins, I feel better than ever. If I stack it up against government money, it looks better than ever. It's not like governments have said, oh, wow, we've got competition now, let's get really conservative and stop printing, right? If they did that, that would be a change that I would say is negative for my investment thesis. But none of that stuff's happening. Like, all the things that matter are accelerating. The amount of money being printed by governments is going up. The government spending is going up, right? Everybody's excited about the Trump tax cuts, but U.S. government spending is higher than it's ever been before and is not slowing down anytime soon. That's all our competition, and our competition is running to zero as fast as it can. So, you know, I'm not feeling too stressed about these bubbles here and there. But as far as something good news, yeah, we have this really annoying bug in MathBot that we just tracked down. So I don't know if you guys were checking it out, but you might have seen that it went offline a couple times over the last 3 days. And part of that is that we have developers now that are playing the game. So, you know, it's a game to teach kids math and programming. And you program a robot to move around the screen, and kids, you know, and people that are not programmers were doing just fine on it, but we've attracted kind of the programmer crowd, and so they're doing stuff, you know, with like 10,000 operations and looping things, and we wanted to be able to support all that, but we weren't quite there yet. But anyway, we found the bug, it's fixed, and that feels really good. So yeah, I mean, that's my world, or a big part of my world. So feeling very good about that.
Well, that sounds pretty good. I'm glad you guys fixed the bug. That sounds like a great system. I could see how the programmer users would be different than the other users.
Yeah. I mean, they're doing stuff.
What are we gonna do about the price of?
We're gonna laugh.
What are we gonna do about this price? What are we gonna do about this Bitcoin? Oh, you're gonna laugh. Can't laugh. Lost all the money. It's all gone. So, oh well. I mean, a good run.
I can laugh partly because I think that I really think that.
Let's see what Twitter says.
You'd be hard pressed to find. Sorry.
Be Twitter for the news. Yeah. Hey, your audio is having troubles. I think the lightning is interfering with your internet. Let's see.
How is it now? Am I coming in
education.
Right? That's not good.
You're okay. You try it again.
All right.
Let's see.
I can give it a restart too if I need to, and jump back in if my audio is still bad.
All right, try restarting. Try turning it off and on again. Some kind of Windows problem. Maybe
I'll be right back.
Router off. All right. So he says William Butler Yeats gets it. Education is not the filling of the pail, but rather the lighting of the fire. Oh, that's pretty good. That's a nice quote. Bitcoin price momentum in late 2018 is still very much possible. There we go. Some positive news from News BTC. Kevin Pham says, there are 3 ways to make a living in crypto: be first, be smarter, or cheat. Cheating is a problem. This manipulation is a problem. These people messing with the market, making it so that we don't know what the price is.
If only there
I
was
like
a
that the panelists
superhero. If only there was a Captain Bitcoin that could turn up. Sort this mess out.
No, the superheroes that Bitcoin have are trying to stab it in the back constantly. And they're
Roger
trying to
Beer.
test out Bitcoin to see if it's
Captain
really
Beer.
the strongest. And it's a lot like Judas.
like
Judas was
Affinity
a
for-
friend. Judas was a disciple. He was a friend of Jesus. And yet at the same time, he's the one that ratted him out. Bitcoin is the same way. We have to go through these dark alleys, and we have to have people like Tether wreck the price. Although it does seem like it's rolling, could be rolling upward. Who knows? But let's see what else we got open here. We're going to check the Twitter mentions. People are saying I'm driving the price down now. Well, if it's so, it's so. I think this manipulation story is a real problem.
Someone trying to sell me Tether.
Tether, that's a good buy.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got no movement of the top 100 wallets. That's good. good for them. Let's see.
Sorry, I got to test.
Say the transactions were all coming from Poloniex on the large transaction that went through. News BTC. Positive Bitcoin price momentum in late 2018 is still very much possible. I'm not sure how. Let's see. It's losing so much value. The situation looks dire. Prices dropped 50%. This is awful. Let's see. Looking ahead with positive news. I like how they make the text in gray, so it's almost impossible to read. See how text used to be black, but then they decided for designers, we'll make it gray. Various developments, technical updates, transaction fees are on the decline, and future scaling solutions will help improve things accordingly. When the Lightning Network will effectively gain global traction has yet to be determined at this stage. Not so good. So they say in the chat, we're looking at the chat. Let's get the chat on the screen here. It says, McAfee makes a good case for gun control. Yeah, hopefully everyone's watching the McAfee documentary on Netflix now. It's a little terrifying, but much respect to Mr. McAfee. But they're saying, don't get burned in lava, JW. Watch out for that lightning and lava. And they say that the news flash manipulation is happening in all markets. Colin Coyne thinks that the investigation manipulation is book fixing. EOS is making a move up. Text should be yellow with a black background. Jeremy speaks the truth. All text should be yellow, easier to read. And a little positivity. Out of the fire, the phoenix rises. Bitcoin will be that phoenix. So pretty cool. JW, what do you think? Positive news for Bitcoin. The Lightning Network, is that going to make the price go up?
Yeah, I mean, in the long run, absolutely, because Lightning is the first point. Before Lightning, Amazon, McDonald's, none of these people could use Bitcoin for payments, and we didn't really have a good way to do that. But with Lightning, we have enough scale to where we could totally support, hundreds of thousands or maybe millions of transactions a second. So yeah, there's no question that it's going to be really good for Bitcoin's price. The problem is that, like, you see the amount of time that it takes between a new technology being, well, you see it at different phases, right? Like from the point that the Lightning white paper was written, there was a lot of people that were like, boom, this is it. Like very bullish, very excited and willing to be harder holders because of that. And then, you know, there's a lot of people that don't get it, that are going to fall for the lightning as a, what was it? Lightning as a bank, or, you know, whatever FUD was produced, and just a general
It's
sense
a
of doubt.
centralized bank. It's
Right.
a pipe and what's it called? A hope and spoke.
It's a
Hub and spoke. That was it. Hub and spoke. Hub
Yeah.
and spoke model.
Yeah, exactly. So, but eventually, you know, some code gets written and it gets out there, and then other people that couldn't understand the white paper go, "Oh, wait a minute, no, I get it now," right? And but there's a long time between it being totally functional and everybody getting it. I think you see that there are some people that seem to get it now, right? Like you have Jack Dorsey at Twitter, and you've got Steve Wozniak saying very, very positive things about Bitcoin being a really good money. So they're the people that get it early, but it takes a really long time for like the average stockbroker, right? It's like, gosh, you know, it's probably 2-3 years before that guy gets it. Like Amazon will have implemented Lightning and be accepting payments before those jokers have any idea what's going on. And that just takes a long time. So we're not going to see the fruit of Lightning in the price for probably a year or 2 or 3. And that's totally okay. You know, I don't mean to be a total jerk about this, because I know that there are some people that are really, you know, having a really bad day today, but what I want to say in a way that's not too much like a jerk, it's a pretty harsh message though, is like, what are you doing with your life, man? Like, if you are freaking out that the Bitcoin price is down, you're probably not taking care of your neighbor very well, right? You're probably not waking up every day, strapping on your boots, putting on your gloves, metaphorically, and getting your sorry butt to work solving the world's problems. If you are, you're probably not freaking out about this. And if you aren't, like, get a job, dude. Go do something that's useful, that makes the world a better place. If you're not doing that right now, learn to code. In like 18 months, you can be a junior software developer easily. You don't even have to have like a high IQ, right? If you're slightly dumb, you can get a job as a software developer in 18 months from now, writing code, building web applications. You're not going to be writing new algorithms or working on compression or writing protocols, but you can be solving problems so that those smarter guys can do other stuff, and you can be making the world a better place and making a decent salary, so that you don't have to freak out when your crap coin investment or your really ridiculous Bitcoin investment thesis that, you know, has like 6 month time frames built into it doesn't work out the way you want. So like, take this on the chin as some correction that your life is a little bit self-centered, and go solve some other people's problems.
We're still looking at $6,269 a Bitcoin, possibly some red on the chart. And you can give us a call now at Skype World Crypto Network, all one word. Even Corey or Jeremy, who like to sit in the chat all day, could call us now on Skype. All they'd have to do is install Skype. That's all it would take. Otherwise, I might end up reading you from a book or something. This could be a problem. I didn't have very much more planned for this show. The price is down. I think manipulation's a big deal. It doesn't affect the technology. Bitcoin's still good technology. Lightning Network's still an interesting and new, exciting network. But the price right now, everyone's going to make their own decision on this manipulation story. And the next part of my book gets all political too. JW, have you been keeping up with my exciting novella reading?
I have not, but I think I've had a few people tell me that you're a socialist at heart. So I've been waiting for the time where you and I debate politics at some point. I have not heard that from you, so I've been waiting for you to say something.
Well, I mean, I'm first of all, I'm very pragmatic. I think a pragmatic approach is the best. I think one of the problems with a lot of utopian or improved society ideas is that they're all they lack bootstrapping. I need to know the exact steps. If I gave you X amount of dollars, how would you institute your revolution? And if you don't
that's a
have a
good
plan,
question.
you don't have a good revolution. Like, so.
Totally agree, man. Totally.
Oh, I threatened the book, and then the caller, but then he dropped. Almost. He heard I was going to read the book.
I'll tell you exactly how. How we're going to implement the revolution. We're gonna take whatever money that you have, and we're going to buy Bitcoin with it, and we're going to hold it. And over time, that's going to have a big impact on adoption. And
hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Thomas. It's Jose calling again from Mexico. What's up, JW?
Hey, what's going on, man?
It's great to hear you
on Bitcoin today.
About crypto. You got a really sharp mind, and I'm glad to hear you and read your stuff. It's really cool.
Thanks, man. It keeps me from doing real work.
I'd love to hear both of you. I'd love to hear Thomas read some more of his stories, and I'd love to hear JW talk about private key management. I think maybe you got some of my messages about that. So just your thought. I'm done talking.
Actually, man, give me a summary, because I've been too lazy. In fact, I was finally bootstrapping myself to do a bunch of testing today when Thomas hit me up, and I was like, yeah, I'm so lazy. I don't want to do any real work. I'll hang out with you guys. But give me a summary of that article, because I haven't read it yet, and I kind of feel bad that I haven't, because you've been hitting me up for a little while.
Oh, you're fine, Thomas. I don't want to bore you. I think you've heard it a couple times.
You could tell JW about the wrench attack. I think the audience enjoys that you're memorizing Bitcoin poems. What they're really hoping is that you'll give them one of their Bitcoin poems, and then they'll be able to write down the private key.
Cool. Well, yeah, I think the wrench attack is just a real practical security issue that we can use. Even a simple messenger app is what I'm developing now, and I'd love anybody's contribution, because I'm a total noob developer. But basically, my protocol slows down or prevents or defends against against the wrench attack. Nothing's perfect, but I think it helps. So basically, the main idea is you split your keys in half. It only works with 24. So you generate your 24 keys, then you split it in half. You keep half, 12, memorize it, keep it locally stored, hidden, you have that. And then the other 12, you signal it and email it, even through email, because if it gets hacked, doesn't matter. The 12 you have is still secure. Nobody's hacking that, right? You can't do this with lesser numbers, especially below 9, maybe. Yeah, and then when you need it, you have a protocol set up. I have it with my friends and family that I send them a message, a picture one day, and a video message the next day for a week. So it's a pretty extensive protocol, but it could be something simpler, just like a Skype chat. Yeah, and then I also have a simple inheritance plan. My person who's inheriting has the secret instructions where my keys are backed up too. Like, I live at the beach, so they're buried under a coconut tree next to the triple, and whatever rock, and so they know where that is, and they know the passphrases. And I've also incentivized them to hold all this stuff. Sorry, I'm almost done. By and they can give some to charity too, and they get a gift. And,
so let me interact with your first idea first. I definitely, even though you're only losing half of your 24-word seed through email, I wouldn't recommend you email it. I don't think it's a terrible idea to split it up, but put it in snail mail to your family. Don't send it on, don't send an email, because it's asking for trouble, right? Like, you've just shared it with everybody in the world, essentially. But other than that, no, that sounds like a pretty good idea, man. The guys at Casa Hodl, Jameson Lopp and those guys, pretty impressed with what they're trying to do. It's expensive right now. I think they said it's like, I want to say it's maybe $1,000 a month, or maybe it's $10,000 a year. Maybe it was more than that. I'm not sure, but you got to have a lot of Bitcoin to be an early adopter of Casa Hodl. But I think they do essentially what you're talking about, where they hold one of the keys and you have to do a Skype call with them and a couple other things before you're fully authenticated. And yeah, I mean, the wrench attack, just for everybody, I'm sure everybody knows it, but the idea is, you know, it doesn't matter how good your security is if somebody can hit you with a $5 wrench until you hand over your private keys. So I do think it's a really good idea to split up your keys in some way and have them, you know, preferably in a, what I've told people is if it's enough, make sure that your private keys are hidden in a place where it requires an airplane trip, because going through, you know, TSA and all that stuff, it's a total nightmare. And not a big fan of it, but you could at least use that evil to deal with the evil of somebody holding a gun in your ribs and make it a little bit more challenging. I also like the, you know, the stuff that Trezor, I think Trezor and Ledger both do this now, where you can have different passphrases that unlock different parts of your wallet. So you can say, you know, if you're a huge holder, you can say, oh, I've only got $5,000 in this one, and hand it over. So I think both of those are good ideas. As far as like telling people where your private keys are stored in case of your death, I would not recommend that unless it's like multiple people and they would have to collude and they don't know who they are. Because friends and family, you know, even friends and close family, if they get in a financial bind, you can't expect them to love you more than they love, you know, their kids or whoever else it is that they're trying to help out. So, so I would not do that part of it if I understood it correctly.
I've found that planning security and inheritance, there's really a balance between, you know, nothing's perfect. So you got to say, do you want to be extra secure? Do you want to be more have the inheritance secure? And just to comment on the difference between the big giant difference between Casa Hold, what they're doing, and my system, and hopefully the app, is because mine is peer-to-peer network based, and theirs is kind of like, to use a bad word, maybe like a master node or something. You know, their private company holds one key, another safety deposit box bank holds one key, and it's 3 out of 5, remember, and one's on your phone. And so I don't know, mine seems really robust.
Well, I mean, the question is, do you trust Casa Hodl to hold one of your keys more than you trust like your cousin or whoever it is that's holding your keys? And that just depends on, you know, like your family situation, I guess. But I would probably trust Casa Hodl more than I would trust my second cousin to hold some keys.
Everybody needs to make their own decisions. And I think there is a potential for an opportunity of business for somebody like Casa Hold. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think theirs is just for emergencies, like when you can't get it. I think there could be central small businesses that hold your private keys for people that don't have a lot of friends, like maybe you just mentioned, you know. So I think that could be a business, yeah.
Yeah, I'm fairly sure that part of the use case is if you're a big holder, especially if you're an institutional holder, you know, you're a stockbroker or something, you're trying to hold a bunch of people's Bitcoin for them, you can use that so that you can't be compromised. So so I don't think it's just purely for backup, but maybe they have different options. I haven't spent a lot of time with it. The most interesting use case for me, beyond the institutional stuff, is to make sure that, you know, that you can't accidentally spend a bunch of money, or if you get kidnapped, you have some security. But yeah, no, that's all good stuff, man. I mean, overall, I think you've thought it through well, and that's you know, some really good stuff to think about.
Thanks. I'd really love anybody's help with the project. It's called Monkey Wrench. I'm trying to make a simple messenger app to start with, because that provides like a lot of the main features. And so I'd love anybody's help, or please critique. I'd love more eyes on it. And yeah, thanks for everybody, and good luck and best wishes, and talk to you soon.
That sounds great. Thanks so much for your call, Jose. And you can give us a call right now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. I saw we had a couple of people tried to call in. I'm going to go ahead and add you now. So go ahead and call back if you're waiting to call in. And we'll try to keep this going as long as we have calls. The price of Bitcoin is 6,250. Looks like some red on the chart. Everyone is making their own decisions about what they think about the Tether news. The main news we're talking about is the New York Times and a researcher from the University of Texas claiming Bitcoin price manipulation. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Mine's Cypher. I'm calling from Canada.
All right, Cypher, calling from Audio Troubles. Do you have a question or a thought about Bitcoin today?
Yeah, it's going down again, huh?
It does feel that way. It's not a great feeling, no.
What? No, it's nothing. It's not a problem.
Good man. That's somebody that should be invested in Bitcoin.
Sure. I mean, how many times have you felt it go up and down? I've lost all sensation.
Let me ask you if my thesis or my hypothesis is correct. You have a real job where you're actually taking care of your neighbors.
Yeah.
There you go. So to everybody that is the day trader that thinks they're actually doing something, go do something, you lazy piece of crap.
I like to buy the dip.
I like to buy the dips. We're in a dip right now.
Fun. What you think it's going to go to?
I don't know.
You think if it's going to go to 4.9, that it's going to go to 1? Because I don't.
I have no idea, no way of knowing. Looking at the previous lows, there was a previous low around 5,900. There was a previous low around 5,500, 5,400, 5,100. So we're seeing some support in the 5,000s, maybe 4,500. But we're zooming out quite a lot here. That also puts 2,970 on the board. We just don't know. I mean, the chart watchers have been negative on this for a long time, and I'm not really a big chart voodoo guy. But what I think we have here is price manipulation. I used to say to myself, well, the price of Bitcoin, at one point it was 20K, so therefore it could be 20K again. But the problem is right now, I don't know what the price of Bitcoin is. I believe it's possible that it was manipulated up to 20K. So this means that the only thing I know.
Right. So, you know, I don't really. I've been in it for long enough that the dips, they don't feel like they're dips yet. So I think if it is being manipulated, they're going to try to get to people a little bit above me, my level, and the people just before me. They want to scare us all. If that's really.
Looks like we lost him. Are you still there, man?
And Google is getting an angry letter from me. Google is getting start drafting my angry letter, Siri. Siri, looks like you're writing a complaint letter. You're very upset. That's right, Siri. But yeah, I mean the price, we just don't know the price. I feel like the ground has been taken out from under us, so I just don't know. We do have another call. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, how you guys doing? My name is Pri. I'm from Dallas, Texas.
All right, Priya, what's your thoughts on Bitcoin today? Are you weathering the dip or are you freaking out?
I'm not really freaking out, to be honest. A cousin of mine in Holland told me about it early 2017. I didn't know nothing about it at all, but I kind of like FOMO'd in and got one. And you know, until really around early 2018 is where I started looking at the technology. And I'm just, this whole tether thing got me confused. I just wonder, could y'all explain that a bit?
Sure, I'll give it a try. The basic thing that I think about Tether is it started out, there's this need and a desire for a stable United States dollar coin, where you could say, I've got a token and this token's worth $1. So what you could do if you were charging fees, you could put $100 in an account and then you could charge it fees at $10 a month for 10 months. The problem is right now, Bitcoin goes up and down if I had my money in my fee account, I wouldn't be able to pay my fees if the price went down. So Tether basically, I believe, was going to hold US dollars in an account and then print an equal amount of Tether to the US dollar. So obviously you can see the problem here. It's all the problems of gold certificates, all the problems of printing money. But now it's in the hands of this private company that we really don't know that much about. So Tether printed a bunch of money. And what it's starting to look like, according to this article, and basically there's two sides to this that we have right now. There's the New York Times, and they're quoting a University of Texas research paper that I had it open somewhere, but not right now. And the research paper basically analyzed the blockchain. So they looked at the money going in and out of Tether and when they were building Tether and when the money moved from exchange to exchange. And they think that the price was artificially inflated. What we thought previously is that the price of Bitcoin had been maybe pushed up by Tether. But what it turns out is, according to another article, is that people used Tether to buy altcoins that were linked to Tether. Then the altcoin would go crazy up. Then they would sell on those people that are buying the altcoin at the top. Then take that money back into Bitcoin, smuggle it back into dollars, use it to buy Tether again, and repeat the cycle. It sounds like hundreds of millions of dollars were passed through this system. So that's the basics.
Technology behind Bitcoin blockchain, I mean, isn't it hard to manipulate that?
The technology is solid. If you've got Bitcoin in your wallet, it's still there. Nobody's taking it from you. But basically what's happened is these guys use kind of advanced finance tricks to steal a bunch of money. And I don't know if they're going to go to jail for it. I don't know if it's going to be investigated. I don't know 100% that it's true. There's been some articles about it and seems pretty likely. But it's all happening today. And basically what I fear is happening to the Bitcoin market is that people are moving their Bitcoin off of their cold storage and they're kind of panic selling. We're seeing a large amount of Bitcoin move through blockchain. .info. These are the blocks. So every block, there's a certain number of Bitcoin. And right here, 48,000, 39,000, 4,000, and 13,000. So you can see these two 40s stand out right away. I saw a 70 earlier. People are scared. And I like to be a voice of reason. I like to say hodl. I agree with JW. I think this technology is great. I think if your investment horizon is at least 6 months to a year to 2 years, that you can just hold on. And if you got a good job and if you like your job and all those kind of things, that's great. But if you were going to try to live on Bitcoin and pay your rent with Bitcoin, you might want to have a little bit more fiat right now, just in case it completely goes down. And then this way you can still pay the rent and stuff. So I'm not upset at the people selling. I don't think they're suckers. JW thinks they're suckers. But I think people got to make their own decision based upon this information.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say I think they're suckers, man. I mean, a lot of people got tricked into buying stuff that they shouldn't have been buying. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Crosstalk. Go ahead, caller. Sorry.
I'm new to the whole technology, the whole Bitcoin thing, and I support y'all's channel. I was just wondering you guys' thoughts. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks so much for the call, and give us a call anytime. And it doesn't matter if you're new to Bitcoin or old to Bitcoin. We love to hear your thoughts, and we love to hear your questions, because a lot of times other people will have that same question, but no one will ask it. So it's good. And, we're talking for a long time here. It's good to go over the story again. And, if you disagree with me or you think, and I think Bitcoin's great. I'm not saying that. And I'm worried about what we got going in the price department. So.
I was just going to say, I don't think people are suckers if they bought in and, don't really know what they're doing right now. And they realize they need to sell. I think that's how people learn, is they make bad decisions. But I think if you buy anything and you don't have an idea of what it's worth, then you're a bad investor and you shouldn't be investing. So if you don't have if you don't know what Bitcoin is worth, don't buy it. It doesn't make sense to buy it otherwise. And if you think Bitcoin is worth something because of the last few people, I mean, the price is nothing. The price doesn't exist like right now. The price is merely a reflection of the last few trades that people have done. So if there's people that held on to it and people that were willing to sell it for high and other people that were willing to buy it for high, then the price is high. But that doesn't mean that the price is going to be high tomorrow. And if, you know, there's some people that really need to sell right now because maybe things are going sideways in the stock market or the housing market or the auto loan market or something that we don't even know that's going on in the background, and they need to get into dollars for some reason, then, you know, the price could be low today because that's a reflection of the current trades that are going on. But if you have Bitcoin right now and you don't know what it's worth, you should sell it, because you are you are going to make bad decisions. And if it goes up a lot and you get rewarded for those bad decisions, it will help wire your brain like a gambler, right? If you make bad, unfounded, stupid decisions and you get financially rewarded for it, that's not a good thing. In the long run, you're going to more than pay for that, unless, you know, you're you know, on death's doorstep, right? You've probably got 10,000 financial decisions ahead of you in life. And you do not want to hardwire your brain to be a gambler. So if you have Bitcoin and you don't know what it's worth or anything else, I suggest you sell it and you just save money until you've done the work and develop some expertise and know what it's worth.
And we do have a caller, so I want to say welcome to the caller. But just to agree with what JW is saying, one of the problems that I had during this run-up is that I didn't have a good plan for selling if the price went up. You have to have some kind of plan for taking profits. And that's what I want to work on better for the next time, if the price of Bitcoin ever goes up again, is that we can all take more profits. And then you don't have to worry so much when things go down. But caller, you're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, hey Thomas, my name's Craig. I'm from Australia.
All right, Craig, and what's on your mind today about the Bitcoin price and what's going on?
I think it's quite predictable. I think it's just hitting, you know, the full bear market after a full speculation. So yeah, just when it was, you know, skyrocketing, everyone I was speaking to that was getting in basically had no clue. They were just buying for the sake of it. You know, they're buying altcoins, didn't even really know the name of the altcoins or what was happening, just knew the abbreviations. So I think, yeah, it's predictable. It's still going to go down. We're going to hit like a big bear stage, just because basically group psychology. You know, people have been, you know, had the utopia moment and now they've been shattered, and we try to bounce back up. We haven't. So, you know, everyone's going to be, you know, pessimistic. You know, it's going to take a lot of time to regain people's faith. So we're going to hit like lower for a while, and that'll be like the best buy opportunity. So yeah, I've sold a bit. I'm still holding a bit, but I think there's going to be like a floor for a while. And I think, you know, like the past, that's the time to get in, and we might hit another bubble like always.
I think that's good advice. And of course, I always say this to people with jobs that are working: dollar cost averaging. If you only invest $10 a week or $100 a week, something kind of reasonable, you don't have to worry about it that much because it isn't that much money. And if it goes up, it'll be a little bit more, but it's not a huge investment. You don't have too much on the line.
I want to be a contrarian on that one
Blood on the streets type thing, you know, like we always say. Like it's still quite bouncy at the moment, but when everyone's kind of lost faith and, you know, everyone thinks Bitcoin's dead forever, you know, then you can start, you know, doing, you know, your weekly buys of slow amounts, and don't overcommit. You know, you never know what could happen. You can have kind of like the black swan event where it all, you know, something gets hacked with Bitcoin, or like something goes corrupt with, you know, whoever, you know, does the code base, and, you know, so there's always risk. So that's what I think as well.
Yeah,
go ahead, JW. Sorry.
I was just going to say I'll be a contrarian on that one as well. I don't think that there's a good reason to think that it's going to keep going down just because it's gone down in the last couple of days. Just like when it was going up, I wouldn't have said this is a good investment thesis, right? Well, it went up for the last 6 months. It's got to keep going up. That's stupid. It went down for the last couple weeks. That's still stupid, right? Like if
well, it's not last. It's gone from the start of the year. From the peak, it's been going down, and the reason, like, think about why has it been going up, right? Like nothing really has like changed in the Bitcoin environment. It's simply like a groupthink you know, a speculation bubble. So people
Right.
had, you know, utopian idea, and now that's shattered. And everyone that joined on, you know, then they didn't even know why they were joining into Bitcoin. Really, they knew it's like internet currency, but we just had, you know, heaps of money flowing in. So it's kind of like a naive,
Well, okay, but this
view, you know,
this is what
biobank. Now it's shattered, and they've may learn from this, but it's going to take a lot of time for that kind of, you know, that dread to fade and the new wave to come.
you might be right, but on the other hand, I mean, I think that there's kind of two different things that you could do. You can chase dumb money decisions, or you can chase smart money, right? And dumb money is the wave of people that are coming in and coming out and sloshing around. And those people are by definition the most unpredictable, right? Because they don't know anything. Like a news story comes out, a New York Times article comes out, somebody says that Ripple is being used by some bank, right? Like they are by definition like more unpredictable than like anything else in the known universe is dumb money, right? So trying to predict what those guys are going to do.
I agree with that though. I think they're real simpletons. They're based on the price and like the simple market of it. So I know they might be irrational, but you can kind of work out if the money goes down, they're going to freak out and sell. Whereas like someone, you know, with more history in trading might go, it's going to go down, but I see this overall trend coming, so I'm going to stick with it. And I think this is a pure bubble graph, you know, like we've seen before.
Yeah, that's really easy to say in hindsight. Like everybody can do great technical analysis in hindsight. And if you look at people that are doing it, they're wrong more often than they're not. So I don't buy the idea. And it seems totally absurd to me also, right? Like to say that we're going to be going down for the next couple of weeks. This is a brand new technology. We don't know what is like, there's major things that happen. If anybody said they knew that we were going to go down a week ago, I would say, did you know that Tether report was going to come out? Like everybody seems to think this Tether report is a big deal and has affected the price.
I agree, like weekly or monthly, you can't predict, but I'm going like more long-term. By the end of the year, it's going to be down. But hey,
so do you know that Amazon is not going to adopt it? Do you know that if Amazon did start experimenting with Bitcoin and made an announcement that it was saving them 7% margin or like doubled their profit margin because they have so much chargebacks with credit cards and everything else, and they ran a small pilot with Lightning, which is possible between now and the end of the year, and they made an announcement that, hey, our profit margins at Amazon have now doubled. You think that's not going to happen? That's not in the realm of possibility? Because I give that a 4% chance of happening.
That's possible, but I don't think that would be like a signal that, like this dumb money, as I was saying, they didn't even look at those kind of signals, if you know what I mean. Like, oh, what tech, you know, they didn't even understand Bitcoin. All they heard were the price stories, and that was their pure reaction. They would say, this is the next thing I'm getting on. They're not looking at, oh, you know, Lightning Network's coming up, or, you know, it might be adoption with PayPal or something. That would be a very small market. But seriously, the people I was speaking to, they were buying like altcoins and didn't even know, you know, how the altcoin operated or the name of it. They just said, oh, I went on exchange and I bought, you know, QVQ because it's gone up 20% in the last 2 days. So
that's my point. There's like two different ways you can interpret even short-term stuff. You can say, I'm going to try to chase dumb money and I'm going to predict what they're going to do over the next 6 months, right? And I think dumb money is going to be out or it's going to be in. But then you have to realize what you're saying is you think you know how dumb money is going to interpret whatever the upcoming news is. And you don't even know what the upcoming news is, let alone how dumb money is going to interpret that. That seems like a really silly approach to investing to me.
Okay, that's one way to take it. But I think it's not so much news-based. It's more, you know, we have the full, you know, speculation graph, you know, which is a group's psychology reaction to like previous values. If we don't break the 20 grand again, like we did in, I think, you know, Feb when it bounced back, then that just shatters all like confidence again. Then we like hit the floor and we think we can claw back, and then we hit, you know, the 6.5 grand floor again. And if we break that, it's all.
Yeah, this whole idea is just, it's an amplifying effect.
What you're big drive for, like, you know, psychological barriers with people, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, no, I do, but that would be an amplifying effect, right? Like if we don't hit 20,000, then people are going to panic and they're going to get out. Or if we do hit 4, then people are going to panic and they're going to get in. But you have to ask yourself, what's driving us to not hit 20, right? There is a lot of smart money, right? So if you segregate out the market between the dumb money and the smart money, think about people like Jack Dorsey that are looking at what's going on with SKYPE and with the problems that they have with spam on Twitter and the investments that they're making in Lightning and the fact they realize that these things are game changers in multiple ways. Look at those guys, because those guys are the ones that are going to shift the market. And then dumb money is probably just going to slosh it up too high and slosh it down too low. But trying to figure out, and even that I don't think is a great strategy, because short term, those guys don't know what the hell's going on either. But your best bet is not to try to predict what, what somebody that's like a grocery store bagger is thinking about Ripple tomorrow. Like that is completely as unpredictable, I think, as anything.
I get what you're saying, right? But you're saying, but what drove us to 20 grand, right? It wasn't news stories of, great tech or some kind of like adoption. It was like news stories of the price, if you know what I mean? And that's why we got into this manic stage. Everyone had FOMO.
But what drove us to 12?
I'm in pop.
What drove us to 8?
Nothing really changed to get it to 20 Gs. You know what I mean?
Right. But what started that fear of missing out, right? I'm agreeing with you that dumb money will amplify, but there has to be something to amplify. So what got us from, I don't know, 2,000 to 4,000, right? It couldn't have been dumb money just
even 650. That's when it was kind of flat, and then it kind of, I think just more adoption of people understanding the overall benefits of Bitcoin.
Exactly.
And the revolution it could have.
Totally. And so now we're on the same page, because that is something that makes sense to me.
Yeah. And that FOMO's, everyone else, and then it just goes nuts, right? I think we still got a lot of dumb money in the market, and this is getting rid of all of that dumb money. That's why I see all the altcoins going down with 10%, because that's the dumb money compared to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's just going down to 4%. So you're going to see like all the altcoins that went like 50 times, they might go down like 40 times. Whereas, Bitcoin, we might like have a floor maybe at, I'm just pulling, figures out of my ass, but maybe 4K.
Yeah.
Which is still 4 times the last, high.
Right. On the other hand,
if you have the market full of, the dumb money still.
Yeah, totally. No, I mean, I think you could very well be right. But on the other hand, if you're a long-term investor, right? Like if you're an investor with an investment thesis that makes sense, it's not going to be Bitcoin's going to be at X number of dollars in the next 6 months because of the past price history. It's going to be something like, I understand payments, I understand credit cards, I understand the inefficiencies involved. And now that Lightning exists, the profit margin on a retail or on a e-retailer like Amazon can possibly be doubled, but significantly improved if they can get users to pay them using Lightning. That would be a rational thesis, but that wouldn't be a 6-month window, right? That would be it's going to take like none of these big companies implement anything in less than 3 years.
My angle is more probably psychology and, the psychology of the market. Because like Bitcoin, as opposed to stocks, you kind of have signals, we have X profits are going up, we've got a new product, and you can kind of, even though, you can kind of like gauge a stock price based on that, price to earnings ratio. But like Bitcoin's so abstract that I think it's more a group psychology issue. And if we work out, we've hit that peak or super hype, was dumb money. It wasn't based on like strong like technology improvement signals. It was just based on price. And now, that price never reached 20K. We tried to bounce back, and it just basically it's following the whole bubble speculation graph. So we're probably going to we're going into despair. Everyone's like, even the bulls are agreeing that price could go down. And I think we're just going to hit that like low point, like in the future, and we're going to hit there for a bit until all that dumb money's weeded out. People can regain confidence. We see all the good news. Faith is regained. Then we're going to get that spike back. But
all right, man. So I've given you my pitch on why your investment thesis is bad, and now I'm just going to be mean about it. I want you to short Bitcoin. I want you to double down on your theory that what is going on with the psychology of millions of people around the world. Yep. Because as long as people like you are the dumb money, my friend. As long as people like you are in the market, you are going to cause more and more financial chaos. And I don't want people like you that are making short-term investment theses based on your incredible understanding of human psychology at a massive scale to have too much influence on the future direction of the economy.
All right, I'll call back in December. All right, and we'll see how we're going with that. How about that?
All right, man. Are you taking my challenge? Are you gonna short Bitcoin?
Well, I've made
do it up, man. Let's do it right. Let's post your short and let's make me look like an ass for not believing that you know what millions of people around the world are thinking right now.
Oh, from $6,000 because anyway. But
Let's do it, dude.
All right, no, cool, man. We can agree to disagree.
No, I don't want to agree to disagree. I want to make you famous for showing the world that you're that you have a grasp on the psychology of people when it comes to Bitcoin. So tweet at me your short order.
Triggered, man. It's my perspective. I'm doing from like a group psych,
I know, man. You're good. You know what you're doing. Bitcoin's going down. Short that shit.
Man. Okay, I'll call in December. It's all good, man.
It's not going to do any good to call in December unless you've posted your short order.
Thanks. Keep up the good work.
All right, man. All right. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate what you're saying, and I don't mean to be as mean as it come off, but there is a point when I'm talking to people and I'm trying to explain that all kinds of crap or trying to make short-term investment decisions based on human psychology and past prices.
Like no doubt. Like I'm not just because like I earned money from it doesn't mean like I'm a believer in it. It's just that's a hyper example of Bitcoin's kind of abstract speculation.
Yeah, totally. And just so you know, I'm not really just busting your chops. I'm trying to bust the chops of a whole group of people that are listening right now. Probably the majority of people that are listening right now.
Like I'm still holding some, but I've also exited a bit of Bitcoin because, you can see the downsides. Anyway, well, cool. I might call back in December if you guys are still doing this, and we'll see what the price is. See if you guys remember me.
All right, man. Sounds good. Thanks
all right, take it easy, guys. See ya.
All right, let's keep it going. You could give us a call now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. Looks like we got a couple people trying to call in. We solve this in the most capitalist way. It's a race. Whoever calls first gets in. JW, sounds like you had an exciting call there. I just caught the end of it.
Yeah. No, it was good. He's a good guy. I was just I was trying to illustrate a point for the listeners that there's a point at which I'll try to explain to people why they shouldn't make decisions that don't make sense. And then there's a point where I go, you know what, you're right, man. Double down, go hard in on it. And let's make sure that you don't have too much influence on the world because you're stubborn.
All right, caller, you're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good.
Calling from the UK.
All right. What are your thoughts about Bitcoin today? Are you weathering the storm?
Well, I've got so many thoughts. I don't know where to start. It really reminds me of 2014 when, back then the price went down to 200 after it spiked to 1,000. And you remember that first time Bitcoin broke 1,000, there was euphoria. The second time it broke 1,000, it was just par for the course. We had to forget, I think, that the price had ever been 1,000. And that's my feeling now, that we have to forget that it ever broke 10K. Once we've forgotten that, when it runs up to 100,000 next time, there won't be panic selling, people taking profits. I think at the moment, as soon as the price is up a little bit, everyone's taking profits. And the market as a whole just needs to sort of shake out that memory of the massive run up from 1K to 10K. It was huge. And I think as long as that's stuck in everyone's minds, this is just my idea. It could be completely wrong. I think there's nothing stopping the price going up. But I think in terms of people's mentality, the short-term thinking, if the price hit 15K, I know so many people would be just selling because, oh God, I've got to get off this roller coaster. Thank God I'm in profit.
I think that's a good point and an interesting perspective. I mean, for someone like myself, I made my Bitcoin buys before the run up. So even if I'm selling now, I'm selling into profit. For a lot of other people, they made their buys at the top of the Bitcoin buy, and now they've taken a 2/3 loss. And yeah, I have a 2/3 loss as well. It's been a rough 6 months here, but I do think you have a good point about forgetting the old high and starting to appreciate what we have. $5,000 Bitcoin is still not that bad compared to $100 or $500.
Well, it's amazing, and when I was getting into it, I'd start talking to people about the price, and I'd say the least interesting thing about Bitcoin is the price, and that was the meme at the time. Who cares about the price? It's not interesting. And I realized you're sort of being sympathetic to people who may have lost money, people who may be, too deep into Bitcoin at the moment and in the red. But back in 2014, there weren't call-in chat shows where people were talking about their losses. You were on your own. You knew no one who knew about Bitcoin, and you were just sitting there staring at the price at 200, thinking, oh, is this going to zero? There was very few podcasts back in those days. So although I'm sorry for people who have lost money, they're lucky now to have this huge community of people who can all share the pain together.
That's a good point, man. How because I've been around for about 6 months, so I'm one of the people that is probably the worst investor in Bitcoin as far as dollars and cents in return you could be. But I haven't spent a lot of time looking at past prices, but I do know there have been like a lot of crashes. Have we even broken a record as far as this, constant run up to all-time high and then come down? Sorry, say again.
So I think the price will go down to about 2K and it will stay there for a year. That's what happened last time. I've got no other basis for assuming that, but there's nothing fundamentally changed about Bitcoin. It's I was playing with Satoshi's stock plays today. It's amazing technology. But just based on what happened last time, people don't care about that. They're just interested in the price, and they need to forget this idea that Bitcoin is an investment.
I don't think that we've broken any records percentage-wise. I think there's been days where Bitcoin went from $30 to $1. So that would be like a 30-fold fall. When Bitcoin went from 1,200 back to 200, that's like a 6-fold fall. Right now, going up to 20K, back to 6K, that's really only a 60% fall, right? We still have 30% of what we used to have available. So there's been bigger crashes, but it just, the sentiment has turned a little. My sentiment has turned. I'm concerned about the New York Times article and the Tether linkage.
Dude,
it's not Bitcoin, it's Tether. So
yeah, you got to eat a burrito or something. Like, you can't make these decisions based on how you're feeling and emotionally, because if you just broke up with your girlfriend or something, you're going to, like, the chemicals in your brain right now and how you're feeling about the price probably has more to do with how well you slept last night than anything happening in the market.
That's true, but I'm worried about Tether too. I think this is I don't know about this the scheme you talked about with cycling money through Tether. I don't know about whether Tether's fractional or not, but it is centralized, and it is almost certainly illegal. What they're doing, printing their own money. The only reason that hasn't been stomped on, presumably, is because of the massive mess of ICOs. Just this huge confusion. You've got OneCoin, you've got BitConnect, and that's the only reason Tether's been allowed to exist. When the agencies come knocking at the door of Tether, and suddenly all Tether is frozen because they just want to have a look at the bank accounts or whatever they want to do, or they want to close Tether down and send the people to prison, then that's going to have a huge impact on the price. So for the first time in my life, actually, I sold Bitcoin because I was worried about the impact. And of course, yes, you're right, it's irrational. It's totally irrational. But I had some of my savings in Bitcoin, and I didn't want to be losing money on my savings.
Yeah, that's a bad idea, man. Never have your savings in a high risk investment or a volatile investment. So I'm completely supportive of that. And honestly, I'm supportive of every single person listening right now selling if they have what I would consider savings in Bitcoin. That's not a good idea. But if you are, if you've got the right amount of savings, you got, a few months and you feel good about it, and this is money that you want to invest in things that you can wait on that return for a long time. you know, come up with a price of what you think Bitcoin is worth. Like that is step one for any good investment decision. Somebody's trying to sell you a gas station. Don't ask them what they're selling it for. Figure out what the gas station is worth first, and then you can decide if it's a good investment or not. And if you don't know what Bitcoin is worth, if you have no, if you can't explain to me how much Bitcoin is worth and why, then you are the definition of dumb money. And I hope that you do get wrecked. Either I hope that you take my advice and do something that's wise, which is get back into, you know, whatever the most stable savings is that you can get. And if you're in Venezuela, you know, the best thing that you can be in right now is probably still Bitcoin. But if you can get into the US dollar, it's going to go down. They're going to steal your money by 3 or 4% per year. But that's the most stable thing that you have access to right now. That's probably the way to go. And that's what you need to do. And if you're not going to do that, if you're going to be stubborn and just stay in an investment that you are completely ignorant about its value, then I hope one way or another you go broke, because you are the cause of a lot of pain and suffering in the world.
Yeah, I totally agree. I wouldn't put it so harshly, but I completely agree with where you're coming from.
Well, look, man, it's not like I want people to die, right? Like, so let me explain why I'm being so harsh, right? If you are, if you're somebody that knows nothing about technology and you have never invested in anything other than a mutual fund before, and you're holding Bitcoin right now because your nephew's cousin told you to, you are the cause of the 2008 housing crisis. You're the cause of the boom and bust cycles. At least you certainly amplify them a lot. You know, the Federal Reserve certainly is the root cause of it, but you represent a lot of malinvestment, right? And I want you to go broke for your own good, because if you are broke and you have enough to take care of your family, I don't want you to starve, right? But if you go broke to the point where you don't cause all of this financial chaos, then people like me that take our time and understand technology and understand whatever it is, like if I invested in potato farming, I would know a lot about potato farming, right? So if we can get you out of the way, and people like me that are careful and we put in the freaking work can invest in the market, we will solve problems that will cure cancer and keep you alive and make your life better. And I really just want you to get out of the way, because you're making life hard.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Still super harsh from JW. Hardcore. The chat's impressed. The chat wants to sign up for your programs. They want to go to your boot camp. They want you to train them.
So just go to mathbot.com and hit me up on Twitter at WeathermanIM. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of problems in the world that need to be solved profitably, and you don't have to be an investor. Only be an investor if you've become good at solving some problem that the world has, like writing software or, I don't know, doing mechanical engineering, and you have some extra savings. You have more than enough savings, and now you want to take on a new career, because investing is a career, right? Like you have to understand a specific thing better than everybody else in order to make a wise investment decision about it. So if that's what you want to do, awesome. But start with becoming good at something, solving some problems for the world, so that you end up with a surplus of savings.
All right. Tough advice from JW. Thanks so much for the call, caller.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, good talking to you, man. And awesome job buying it at 200. Jeez. That's pretty incredible. Good work there.
Got the low. And you can give us a call now on World Crypto Network, all one word, on Skype. We still had at least one other person trying to get in, so you can give us a call now. And we're still watching the price of Bitcoin. It's around 63.02. It looked like it was ranging in the 6,300s, but might have broken a little bit higher. But we're just looking at the 3-minute chart, 5-minute, 15-minute. Still in decline, but might have broken a little bit higher. But we're just looking at the... All right, got to turn your speaker down. 15-minute. Still in decline, but might have broken a little bit higher. But we're just looking at the... All right, got to turn your speaker down. All right, caller, you're live on the World Crypto Network. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi, what's your thoughts on Bitcoin? You got to turn your computer speaker or pause the video or something.
Yeah, I got to pause the video or he won't be able to hear you.
Is that fine?
Yep, it's fine now. What's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Willis. I'm calling from Saudi Arabia. So
All right. And what are your
I
thoughts on
want to
Bitcoin
say,
today?
actually, first of all, I'm a big fan of Mad Bitcoins from back in the day.
All right, represent. Woo.
Yeah, man. Actually, look, just for everybody out there, this is just some general kind of advice. Is just Bitcoin is unpredictable, and it's pointless to kind of like try to explain anything, because unlike the stock market, which is regulated, and general markets, which are regulated, this is growing at an exponential rate, and it's growing in all sorts of time zones. It's growing in all countries. It's growing in all sorts of rural, non-rural areas. So you've got a whole bunch of things that we can't really understand yet because it's quite young and it's being adopted at such a quick rate. And at the same time, because it's so new, you've got these big players who can come in, put a big sum of cash in, and then take it out at any time. You've got people who stakeholders who actually have billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin at one point, and these guys know each other. These guys talk to each other. So if they say, "Look, we're going to get out," all us small guys, we're going to suffer. Do you get my point? So what I'm trying to say is that you guys have to just hang in there. This is a long-term thing. It's still early days for Bitcoin. There's a lot of competition coming out. There's EOS, there's Ethereum. Bitcoin used to have 100% market share. Now it's down to about 70%. So this is going to continue to change and morph. And you just have to be kind of patient, and just let it ride. I invested at about $200 as well. And when it ran up to 1,200, it was like insane, and then it crashed back down to 750. And everybody thought it was the end of the world. And then it went down to 250 after that, and people were just laughing like, look, it's a scam, it's a scam. And then it just keeps doing that. So this is the natural life cycle of Bitcoin and cryptos, is that people want to take profit, people want to make money. And, if you're trying to trade it and you don't know much about it, or you're not a trader, then it's just suicide. So just let your money ride, forget about it, don't watch the chart, and just go on with your life,
I think that's good advice. And how popular is Bitcoin in Saudi Arabia? Are your friends into it? Do you have meetups or anything like that?
Well, it's not just Saudi Arabia, it's the Middle East. If you look at Dubai, which is one of the most modern cities in the world, right? That city is like adopting blockchain technology. They're thinking of just transforming the whole government by 2020. So blockchain technology in these kind of countries and emerging markets mainly is quite good, because you're talking about countries which can afford to test it out because the population isn't that big. So you can try banking systems, you can switch things around, so these kind of things are best adopted by these wealthy countries. And you have places like Abu Dhabi, which is part of the UAE, which is, I think, has the biggest sovereign wealth fund in the world, I think, as well as Qatar. And these kind of countries can dump the whole entire market share of, I think, what's the market cap of Bitcoin right now, of cryptos? What is it?
It's like 300 billion, I think, but that's
peanuts.
Bullshit.
That's peanuts, man. That's nothing. You're talking, there are people out there that have that kind of money in their bank account. so
Exactly.
if there's individuals with that kind of money in their bank account, they can definitely come in for 10 billion or whatever it is, and come in and out as they wish. And that's why the whole market dropped from 600 billion down to 268.
And that would have a huge impact on the price.
There's a lot of people with a lot of big pockets, deep pockets, who are living a whole different life. And the market is still quite young and there's nobody controlling it. I think in the next 5 years, you'll see some stability, right? But in the meantime, it's going to be rocky. And I think that people just need to chill out and stop acting like they know what they're talking about, because nobody knows what the hell is going on. And that's the truth. And look, So I remember, if you guys use, does anyone use CoinMarketCap to check the stats and stuff?
I don't much, but that might be where the 300 billion number originally that's floating around in my head came from.
Yes. So CoinMarketCap is basically where you can see, for anybody out there that's new to this, if you want to see what is going on with cryptos, you can look at coinmarketcap.com. And back in the day, when I first started this, there was literally only Bitcoin and Litecoin on this list. And then suddenly you started having like Quark, Ripple, and then all these other ones. And now you're at a point where you've got ICOs. So the type of ICOs, there's literally like 5 ICOs a day. And each of these ICOs is getting like $200 million, $20 million, just hard caps, soft caps. So these guys are sucking up a lot of the crypto market from Bitcoin and other kind of cryptos. And you just have to wait and see now that EOS. You have to look out for EOS, because EOS is a big one that's coming up. It's doing what Ethereum did, and it's already gone from something like, I don't know, $4 to 10 in the last 6 months or something. And apparently it's going to go even bigger. So there's competition out there for Bitcoin, and you have to keep an eye. You have to just look at things with an open mind. And if you're going to put money in, I think earlier, was it you, Thomas, that was suggesting put it incrementally, put like $10, $20 at a time, so that you average your investment, if this is what you want to do, if you want to get into cryptos. Otherwise, I suggest another thing is just watch everything for like a good 3 months before you get in, so you can get a general idea of what the hell's going on, and then go in. So it's all about timing as well,
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So one of these guys that has, $800 billion in their bank account, they wake up tomorrow, they hear about Lightning, or they hear about something Jack Dorsey said, they get excited about Bitcoin. They throw 10 or $15 billion into Bitcoin. Is that not going to have a big impact on the price? I mean, like a massive impact on the price.
That's what I'm trying to say. But when
an example.
I have a crazy theory. Do you want to hear my crazy theory?
Let me finish the thought. I was just going to say, like, it is absurd for anybody to think they know whether that's going to happen or whether that's not going to happen, right? We're talking about thousands of people around the world that have enough money to drastically move the price based on the decisions that they make in a brand new technology that has like 0.01% of the market. And we think we know what's going to happen over the next 6 months. Like, how you would have to be God to have any viable investment thesis on what's going to happen in the next 6 months. Because
I'll give you an example, right? Okay, let me just tell you. So right now, this is just a theory, okay? So right now, tomorrow is the last day of Ramadan. Okay, this is a crazy, crazy theory, but it could be real. And it's Eid, which is a time where everybody likes to gift and buy things and all that stuff. Basically, they get gifts and they cash out. So this could be just a result of the entire Middle East, North Africa region just pulling out a bunch of cash, because the price is dropping, pulling it out. And this is what's dragging the price down, just because of a trend and a seasonal trend. It's also summertime, so people are just pulling out money. So this is how it works. And if you look at the charts, you'll notice there's always a trend with the price going up and then people cashing out at certain times of the year. So I'm just saying that I'm not playing God or trying to, understand it, but there are theories that there are very wealthy people. I mean, you guys just showed that people pulled out 48,000 Bitcoins, 90,000 Bitcoins, 70,000 Bitcoins. And that's a lot of money.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great point, man. That really even to a much bigger degree illustrates the idea that you can't have viable
sort of market space where you have in China, it could be like a trend for the new year. So all the Chinese investors are pulling out their kind of investments. You see what I mean? So you have to, when you look at Bitcoin, you have to look at it from a very global perspective. You have to look at what trends are happening where. You have to understand the global calendar of events. You have to understand what people are doing when the banks are open, when the banks are closed, you know. And
Right. So the way that I interpret that is, I think, 180 degrees off from the way that you interpret it, because you're saying there's all of these things that could be a cause and effect and change the price in the short term. And I'm saying, yes, I agree, but my solution isn't to try to figure out whether people in the Middle East right now are giving each other gifts in Bitcoin and what the next holiday in China is that might affect it, and what the weather pattern is going to look like in 6 months. Because if we have a more year, people will be slightly more depressed and they might go like, that is a fool's errand, right? Don't try to do that. Don't try to understand those trends. Just be humble and say, there's a new technology. It solves a lot of problems, but I don't know what's going to happen in the short term because nobody could. So make your investment thesis longer so that it could actually have some sense.
I agree with you on that. And that's actually what my point was getting on the call, is to tell people, look, guys, there's all sorts of stuff going on. This market doesn't sleep. Okay, it's not like the regular market, which sleeps on Saturday, Sunday. So there's no point trying to look at the chart 24/7. Think long term. Think this is a new technology that has uptrend. I mean, earlier you guys were talking about how amazing it was when it ran up from $200 to 1,200. That's going to continue. Nobody knows where the top is, but obviously there are scaling issues in Bitcoin. They're very obvious. It's very slow. The transactions are pretty crap. There are faster, more competitive currencies out there. And it's going to continue to grow. I mean, as long as blockchain technology is out there, you don't know what's next. I mean, I love Steemit. I think Steemit's a great, concept. I think EOS is a great concept. Ethereum is a great concept. So we never even thought that these things would be created. I mean, that's another thing to factor in. And what do you guys think about spreading your portfolio? I mean, is that another strategy that you guys would suggest?
I used to think it was a good idea, but lately everything goes down with Bitcoin. The only Tether right there is the only one that's not performing the same kind of chart movement. So it looks pretty rough out there no matter what you have.
Blood in the water.
I think diversification is the stupidest idea that's ever been invented, and that it was only pushed on people so that governments could fleece them. Because the whole idea of investing is that you see something in the marketplace. You see that corn is undervalued right now, right? You see that there's new technologies that are coming out that are going to need more corn, or you see that the number of people eating beef is going up, and because of wealth is going up, and you realize that beef eat a lot of corn, and that it's not likely that the corn producers are going to be able to keep up. So you see something about the market that other people don't see. If you don't have that, then you're not an investor, you're a gambler, you're an idiot. If you see something like that, you can say, all right, I'm going to buy that corn at the current price because I know demand is going to go up and supply isn't, or, whatever. It's going to be more valuable. It's going to be more in demand in the future than it is now. So you're basically like a truck driver through space and time, right? Or through space or through time instead of space, right? So you buy this thing and you deliver it to a point in time in the future where it's more in demand and it's more valuable. That's good investment. That's good speculation. Now, the only competing theory with that is that you should take your money and you should just throw it into everything randomly. And that is the only reason that we even think that's viable is because we have all these government structures that make big corporations have huge competitive advantages next to the competition because they have access to all this dumb money, and all this dumb money is encouraged to give their money to these people. So they tend to perform better, but it's because of all the government advantage. It's not because they actually can compete in the marketplace. So this is just kind of a scheme to encourage people to do stupid things and put their money in the hands of people that can take it from them. If you don't know what something is worth, don't buy it. It's really like, I wouldn't have to explain this to your grandma. Like, I'm sure she would slap you if you tried to invest in something and you didn't have a good reason to think that it was cheap, and that it was going to be more valuable in the future. These are like, it took like 60 years of government indoctrination of children from the age of 4 up to get to the point where I sound like a lunatic saying diversification isn't wise. And that doesn't just apply to crypto, but it applies to crypto 10 times more, because there's one viable cryptocurrency. I'm a security expert, right? I'm in this game because I've spent 2 decades understanding software security, and I think I have a pretty good grasp of what's going on. And I would not touch EOS ever. Ethereum is an absolute joke. It was from day one. All of these things are going to zero. All these scam coins and crap coins. If you haven't read Safety Namusa's book, The Bitcoin Standard, you really got to check it out. Anybody that's invested in Bitcoin with any significant amount of money really needs to read that book.
Because I mean, seriously, you sound very passionate about Ethereum being a scam. Why is everybody launching their ICOs on Ethereum blockchain? Is it
that's a great question.
Another way around, because I'm actually thinking of building a crypto. So we're thinking of using the Ethereum.
So the reason that people are doing that is that the Ethereum guys have done a really, really good job marketing this ERC20 token concept. But that's it, right? I mean, you can do, I just had a call with Giacomo Zucco and Manfred of BISC Network 2 days ago. And we spent like 2.5 hours talking through all the pros and cons of different token schemes, and whether there's even a possibility of it being legitimate and all those sort of things. And like Giacomo was very like, and he knows what he's talking about. He spent a lot more time on trying to figure out how to tokenize things than I have. He was very convincing that that if you wanted to do a token right now, the worst option is an ERC20 token. And I think that for me, it's really obvious. I wouldn't want to use something like Ethereum because they roll it back all the time, right? Like what is the point of having an immutable database that is super mutable? Like it just doesn't make sense even at that point, let alone the fact that the scripting language that they have built on top of it is so bad that the guy that created the language can't even write a decent multi-sig address. At least that was, I know that was true as of a few months ago. Or a multi-sig wallet. I'm not sure exactly what the current state of things is, but I would bet money, not knowing anything else, that it's probably worse than it was, a few months ago. So yeah, I mean, the technology is just really stupid. Even cryptocurrencies, or even crypto kitties, which is my favorite example of the dumbest thing in the world. Like, they didn't even actually build it on Ethereum. They kind of pretended that they did, but it was actually in a database. There was no code running that caused kitties to breed or anything like that. It was some dude drawing pictures in a basement somewhere. And so Ethereum, from everything that I've been able to see, is all marketing hype and no substance. And the little
that it's basically a PR stunt, which is mostly what the world runs on. So it's what the short-term
dumb money runs on, absolutely. But I don't try to chase dumb money because I know that it's unpredictable. I don't want to be in a situation where if somebody puts together a good marketing campaign, I go broke.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I see your point. Maybe you're more technologically sort of sound and advanced than I am. Obviously you are. But I mean, it has risen, it has grown. But if you're telling me it's got loads of problems, then how soon do you think it's going to be known to the public that this is a scam? And when do you see that it's going to fall apart? How long do you think it's going to take? Or is it just going to drag on and people are just going to keep buying into it?
So in the same way, I don't know what's going to happen with the Bitcoin price in the short term. I don't know what's going to happen to the Ethereum price in the short term, because they can put on a really good marketing campaign, right? Like, I do not want to bet against those people when it comes to putting together a marketing campaign. I don't want to bet against Ripple when it comes to putting together a marketing campaign, because those guys are excellent.
Ripple, right? I think Ripple is definitely really is a scam, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, they both are. They're absolutely both crap. But what I'm saying is that the short-term price can be greatly affected by how well they market it, and they are not bad at marketing. So I wouldn't want to short Ripple over a 24-month period, right? I would be tempted to, but I really wouldn't want to do it. Now, if I could short Ripple over a 10-year period, I would probably that would be really hard to compete. Like, that would probably compete for Bitcoin dollars, right? Being able to short Ripple or Ethereum if I could do it over a 10-year period, because both of those things are going to zero. If I could put together an index of every single altcoin out there and short that thing over a 10-year period, I would short the hell out of it. But you can't really do that. And I don't know. I haven't really done a whole lot of trading and investing, so I'd probably screw something up anyway. Or at least, these sort of, I've invested mostly in startups and things like that. But so, maybe there is a way to do it. Maybe somebody will
I was
throw in the
talking to
comments.
a really amazing investor. I mean, this he's got a 90% success rate, 90 to 95% success rate on everything he does. And he told me the smartest thing to do with this whole blockchain thing, because he's very, very skeptical. And he's like, what he's done is he's invested in blockchain technology companies. So he's invested in all the companies that provide hardware or software. And he says what's good about that is these companies are legit. They're out there. They're there. They're not just speculative currency or whatever. So that's another strategy that people are taking in the investment, where they're investing in the back end of the business, where,
I can tell you right now, the guy's full of crap. Like, he is lying to your face. If he is investing in software startups and software companies that are in the blockchain space, and he's telling you he has more than a 9 out of 10 failure rate, he's lying to you. He would be the best venture capitalist, the best angel investor in the world if he had a 50% success rate. So if he's telling you he wins 9 out of 10 times, he's a liar. And
no, he's not. By the way, he's 9 out of 10 times in investment, not crypto. He does a lot of other investments. This guy's a pro.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not. There's a lot of areas that I don't know about, and maybe if he's invested in the auto industry,
feel that you want to get into it in a let's just say a less of a risk. Don't invest directly in the crypto. You can invest in the companies that are in the back end of crypto.
So what would be a good example?
The mining rigs, the companies that are building the mining rigs, the companies that are building the chips and all that stuff. That's feeding into this, because those are companies that are building things for other businesses as well. It's just, that's what he's basically saying. Yeah, I think it's pretty sound advice. I think I'm
skeptical, and I'll tell you why I'm skeptical. If he's saying that he's investing in NVIDIA right now, I would say that's probably as safe as a bet of anything that I can think of as far as a company.
What is the company?
Okay, but this is why I would not invest in NVIDIA right now, because NVIDIA has come out and said, look, we're trying to quell the excitement over our stock price right now, because we've seen a lot of demand for our products because of these crap coins, and we don't think the crap coin market is sustainable, right? Like the CEO of NVIDIA has come out and said this, and because of that, we want you guys to chill out a little bit. What's that? Looks like we might have lost him. I'll finish the thought. Yeah, so I don't think that it's safer to invest in companies that are dependent on a cryptocurrency. If you're investing in the Ethereum Foundation, or something that's dependent on, if you're investing in CryptoKitties because you think Ethereum is better, I would not say that that's a safer investment thesis.
Good point. I think, the other problem with choosing the companies is then you have to pick a winner among the companies. So you're really saying, what am I good at? Am I good at picking a winner amongst cryptocurrencies? Am I good at picking a winner amongst companies? Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I just want to say thanks, guys, for the good work and for the advice, and just trying to keep everybody's head up, and have a lovely day or night wherever you are in the world.
Thanks so much. We appreciated getting your opinion from all the way from Saudi Arabia. Thanks so much.
Yeah, totally, man. Great chatting with you.
All right. And if you'd like to give us a call right now, you can call us on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. I did add a couple more people, so we're going to keep the phone lines open. But it is tough, the Ethereum thing. I know a lot of people in the chat are upset because JW is laying down some truth here, and he's talking about Ethereum, and people are big fans of that. They don't like a little truth there. So, hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, Thomas. I'm Jeff from Indiana.
Hey, Jeff. What's on your mind about Bitcoin today?
Well, you seem pretty concerned about the news about the tether and the price manipulation. You know, we've kind of known that's been possibly an issue. Well, we've all known tether's been an issue for some time. But in terms of the price, don't you think that by now, due to EMH, efficient markets hypothesis, most of that news would be internalized by the market, or do you think Bitcoin's markets are still laggy enough that it's not all priced in?
Well, I think there's, as we're watching right now, it is starting to blow up. It got 6,300 up to 6,347. So there is some kind of upward movement in Bitcoin. Somebody's buying it right now.
Well,
But I think you have to wait at least 24 hours for this news to really sink in. I'm not sure that everyone's made their decision on what they think about this potential manipulation. And yeah, I don't know that we're out of the woods yet. I'm usually very bullish, but I just don't know this time.
It's true. It has. I don't think that story is that story comprehensive. I mean, we don't know all the details yet.
There is a 66-page report from the University of Texas that came out, and alongside that, there is a Medium article, and the Medium article claims much more wilder things: a cartel, drug money, laundering, all kinds of questionable things. So when you put the two together, even if it is all a BS story, the impact of that story could be a big problem. And yeah, just personally, I don't like to talk about it or whatever, but yeah, I took some profits today. I'm concerned about Bitcoin, but I'm also often wrong. So if you want to bet against me, no one is stopping you. So
Okay. Well, again, hopefully most of it's been internalized in the price, but time will tell. Thanks for taking my call, and carry on.
thanks for the call. Give us a call anytime. And it looks like JW is starting to run out of time here. We've had this show open for at least an hour or maybe a couple hours. We've got about 305 live viewers. Thanks to everybody. Be sure to give us a thumbs up and a share. If you haven't already, subscribe down below. We try to do these shows almost every day. And just wanted to get on there and talk about this Bitcoin price issue and what we've got going on. People have different opinions on it. It was great to get JW's perspective and Shem's perspective. They're both still very positive, and we are still accepting Bitcoin donations here. Kind of an empty address right now, but if you want to scan the QR code on your screen or subscribe to the Patreon down below, that would help us out during this time of Bitcoin going down. JW, do you have any closing thoughts? Now that you've seen the chat thinks you're harsher than Tone Vase. They think you're stronger than Junseth. They think you hate everything. So
I love humanity, man. I love people, and I want you guys to do well. And if I don't tell you, I think it's a scam, and I think it's a scam, then I might feel bad. But you can hit me up on Twitter. I've got a high level security assessment I did of Ethereum probably 6 months ago. One fact I'll leave you with is that there is no cap on the number of Ethereum that are produced. So if you're hoping that Vitalik will implement a cap, that's fine. But as the code sits right now, it inflates at 10% per year. And by 2140, when there's 21 million Bitcoin, there's going to be several trillion Ethereum. So, you can bet that they're going to implement proof of stake, which hasn't been implemented on anything really, because it's very questionable, and really doesn't even attempt to solve the problems of proof of work, and that they will, not be Keynesian sort of economists, even though they've made it really clear. And Vitalik has been very even wishy-washy on his opinion and willingness to experiment with monetary policy. So if you do all that nonsense and you're still in Ethereum, that's fine. But if you want to know more about the work that I've put into trying to figure out why I think it's such garbage, hit me up on Twitter. And yeah, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so.
All right, looks like JW is starting to have sound problems too. The people are paying £2 to say that they hate you, JW, and the other people are asking for your Twitter. I think it's at JW Weatherman on Twitter. I think it's all one word.
It's actually It's Weatherman I am. Actually, I wasn't able to get a good Twitter handle, so it's Weatherman I am. You can see it actually
There
on my face right now.
Weatherman I am. So you can follow JW and he'll bag on Ethereum for you, and you can complain back at him that you think Ethereum's great. So let's check in again a little bit later to just recap what we talked about. We talked about the Tether story, the New York Times. We talked about the Tether story on Medium, uncovering the real cartel in Bitcoin. Check that one out. That's a little crazy, but who knows? We watched the price of Bitcoin, which is currently $6,315. And we just don't know. So we're going to try to check in a few hours with another live episode of Bitcoin Talk Show. So be sure to subscribe down below and share it on Twitter and thumbs up and everything else. So thanks so much. Until next time, bye-bye.